in honor of the Tahoverlanding Axle Swap's 3rd anniversary. I finished it 3 years ago. I thought I would take the axle out of the Tahoe for the first time ever. Stay tuned. That part was easy. Now it's time to get the shock off. The shock goes up through the center of the coil spring. So in order to get all this off, the shock's going to come off. And so you see I've got a lower shock bolt there, and another shock bolt there. The shock bolt kind of comes in through the pocket right here of the upper control arm / lower control arm mounts of the original Dodge. So the shock bolt is right there. And it comes out through here, right up through there. I don't know if you can see it real well. It's backlit, so that's terrible. But see, there it is. That's the shock bolt. I could just as easily probably put the bolt going front to back. It doesn't really seem to matter all that much. I don't have a punch or drift handy, but I do have a cheap Harbor Freight screwdriver. And I hate using screwdrivers as punches, but that's mostly when it's my, snap-on screwdrivers. When it's a Harbor Freight screwdriver, I don't care nearly as much. And there's that bolt that just fell out. So I was thinking that, you know what, since I'm already pulling it off this far, I might as well just take the whole axle out, freshen up some of this paint. I'm going to grind off all this paint anyway. So I thought, why not take the whole axle out and just freshen everything up? And to do that, I need my, special axle jack. Which isn't all that special per se, because it's just a transmission jack, and I've bolted this axle cradle to it that I made. So then I can lower then I can have the axle fully supported. A little bit more. There. Now the axle's got support. I mean, even these brake calipers are getting pretty faded. And I use good brake caliper paint on them. There goes brake caliper spacers falling out. Brake caliper spacers are pretty important though when it comes to doing this swap. Look how nice and even the wear is on the brake rotor. The brake caliper spacers from Tahoverlanding space the caliper out and make the Dodge brake caliper and pads fit perfectly on GMT 800 rotors. And this has a lot of miles on it. Forgot how annoying it is. 9/16 hardware, 9/16 bolts use 2 different size heads. So the bolt head is a different size than the nut head, only for 9/16. And that's what the lower control arm bolts are, 9/16. This is the first time that bolt has been out since I completed the swap. I have not had any reason to unbolt the control arms, radius arms for any reason. So that's actually kind of substantial. Now on the upper locating arm side of these radius arms, I went with 1/2 inch hardware, which was stupid. I should have just went with 9/16. But at the time, you know, it had 12mm hardware, the Dodge did, so 1/2 inch was just the next step up. I didn't really know what I wanted to do so much at that point, so. Now you can just do 9/16 hardware for both sides. Now this is the same bolt that holds my limit strap. See, that's why I had to support the axle before I did this. Because the limit strap hangs, the axle actually hangs on the limit strap. And so now there's actually, especially on this side with the shock unbolted and the limit strap unbolted, there's nothing to hold this axle in place. Like this whole side here, there's nothing holding it. See, limit strap's unbolted. Upper control arm point and lower control arm point both tie back to the radius arm. Those are unbolted at this point. Let's take a look. So you can see unbolted. Now what just fell out was the spacer that I use, because this upper control arm pocket on the axle is 2 3/8 spacing, and that's a really awkward size. So I used the 2-inch joint back then, and then a 3/8 spacer. And this bottom lower control arm mount is still just a standard 2 5/8, which is extremely standard. That's what Jeeps and everything uses. So that's a good standard size. This is in fact the first time this radius arm has been removed since I installed it. The bracket is tweaked just a little bit. That's free. Okay, good. I've bent the crap out of this bracket. Radius arm is free. Awesome. Radius arm is free. Brake caliper is free. Let's maybe get that drive shaft unbolted. What do you think? Now the drive shaft has been unbolted since I installed it, because I've replaced this pinion seal once. So one U-bolt. So there is one convenient thing to having the drive shaft locked when you're in two-wheel drive, is that when you're in park, this drive shaft isn't trying to spin. So I don't have to try to hold this drive shaft as I unbolt these U-bolts. So that's unbolted. Might as well unplug the locker before I forget and try to drop the axle and rip the wires or something. Alright. Track bar. See, look. See how that's loose? 9/16 hardware. The head of a bolt is 13/16, but the head of, that's nice and tight. The head of a nut for 9/16 is 7/8. Super annoying. Alright, track bar bolt. Now the proper way of doing this is to use a tie rod puller, but sometimes they'll pop out without too much, like that one. That boot is pretty well gone, huh? That's crazy. Move on to the passenger side now. I hate the silver center caps on the red wheels, but I hate this even more. So it looks better. More brake caliper spacers falling. Again, you have nice and even the wear is on the brake rotor. So the Tahoverlanding brake caliper spacers work like a dream. As I mentioned before, so that limit strap seems like it's tight, like it's under, still supporting some weight. So I'm going to lift the axle up a little more. There we go. Let's take some load off of that. See, now that limit strap at the very least loosened up, so it's no longer supporting the axle. Feel it. Oh, I think mangled. If you look close, you can see how bent and mangled the lower controller mount is, and that bolt has actually been damaged from the trail as well. So that's why this is fighting me out. Okay, I got sick of trying, so I'm gonna cut it. Oh, that battery's dead. Okay. That bolt's going in the garbage. Alright. This lower control arm now freed up. Come on. There we go. That radius arm is free now as well. So that basically means I just need to get the shock bolt out. To show you on the other side, the shock bolt kind of goes through this mount here, and you just go straight in, just like that, with the radius arm out of the way. There's just one thing left, and that's the Posi-Lock 4x4 control cable and the vent line, which that all just comes off as one box anyway. So let's pop that off. I'm gonna need an oil catch can because I'm gonna need an oil catch can because gear oil will spill out of this. That wasn't very tight. Almost though. That's good. Wasn't leaking, so that's good. That's also not very tight. Okay, moment of truth. There's the gear oil. Look how clean that is, though. I guess I keep my gear oil pretty clean, huh? And you can see there's the shift fork. And in there is a collar, and that actuates. And that's how it engages the two shafts. See, the collar just sort of slides and engages and disengages the shafts. All right, so let's see. Do you think I forgot to unhook something? Let's find out. Okay, something's hanging up. Feel a little bit of hang. Let's see. Track bar's free. Steering's free. The two shocks, because they've extended. Okay, so it's not like they're hanging up, they just haven't fully gotten to the bottom of their stroke yet. Because the shocks are much longer than they need to be. But we can pop those shocks out like this. There we go, there's one. One shock out. Harder on this side because the differential housing is in the way. The actual diff pumpkin's in the way. Free up. Free. That Heim's not super trash or anything, so that's good. I'm going to rock this back so that it won't drip any more oil while it's sitting like that. There we go. I think that's it for today. On the next video, I will be cutting off all this stuff and grinding this smooth, getting all this flaky and rusted paint and rust dealt with, and then I'll be installing Tahoverlanding coil mounts and showing you how to set those up and get those going. Thanks for watching.